Hello, Tigers. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is the Extra Point, which starts right now. Hey Tigers, thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got an excellent show for you. We're going to be covering college football, NFL, NBA. We're going to hit all the highlights. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we're going to hit tonight is the hashtag, not the hashtag game, excuse me. Another fun game though, buy or sell. So get out those whiteboards, it's about to get lit. So first thing we're going to talk about, the initial college football playoff rankings came out last night, and there was a huge surprise at the end of it. That being Texas A&M being ranked 4th and Washington being ranked 5th. So, the first question for you guys, do you buy or sell these new rankings?
I guess I'll start it off. I think like most of you, I sell it. Obviously, while Washington's undefeated, Texas A&M, they lost, they got blown out by Bama. But it's surprising, but it's not as surprising. I don't think it's as surprising as you may think. Obviously, we know the NCAA, they value strength of schedule. They have an SEC bias, but they value strength of schedule. And obviously, we all know Texas A&M, they've had a harder strength of schedule, even if they lost one of those games. Washington's in the Pac-12, and they don't have as tough of a schedule. I think Washington should be top 4, but I'm not shocked that A&M is above them per se.
The college football playoff is about getting the 4 best teams in the country. Not top 5, not power 5. I'm buying into the Texas A&M Aggies. Okay. I know why you're mad at me.
You're killing me, Thomas.
But it doesn't matter. I like Texas A&M because they've only lost 1 game. And who's that game been to? The best team in the country. And Washington, they're good. Yes, we know they're undefeated. Jay Browning has played amazing, but they still have not had the same strength of schedule that Texas A&M has had to play. Texas A&M has had to play teams like Alabama. They play Tennessee. I know Tennessee is overrated, but they play in the SEC, and I feel like the SEC is a better conference than the Pac-12. And if Texas A&M runs the table and doesn't even make it to the SEC championship, they could possibly still get in over an undefeated Washington because the strength of schedule means a lot to the playoff committee, as we can see now.
Well, my opinion is, and Wyatt, I helped you out a little bit here because I put a little hashtag here, but hashtag sell. So my whole thing about this is so obviously just to get ratings. I'm not even they did not choose the best 4 teams. I'm gonna be honest with you, because at the end of the year,
you don't think so?
I don't think so. At the end of the year, if Washington goes undefeated, if both Washington and Texas A&M both win out, Washington goes in. It doesn't matter because they'll be an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, which the committee has already said that they value conference.
I was about to say the other thing is
more than anything else.
If both these teams went out, then Washington would probably get in just because they would have a Pac-12. But at this moment, obviously nobody has a conference championship yet.
If Alabama loses and maybe picks up another loss, even though the tiebreaker would go to Alabama, do you still see Texas A&M getting in?
Wait, say that again. What?
If Alabama loses.
If Texas A&M wins out and Alabama loses 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, first off, who does Alabama lose to?
Ooh, LSU possibly, Auburn.
LSU, Auburn.
Yep.
I can see those. Well,
not both of those.
I actually think if Auburn wins out and beats Bama.
Oh, that is true.
And
Auburn
wins the SEC championship.
That's what I brought up.
Because I don't think anybody in the SEC East can beat anybody in the SEC West.
No.
So if Auburn wins out and wins the SEC championship, they're back in. I do not want to play Auburn again.
Exactly. Auburn lost to Clemson, so we saw that happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just feel like this is just for ratings, just to get people going, get people talking about the college football playoffs. So
and it's working.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm going sell, like you two said. I can see the argument for why now because
Right.
we can't factor in the conference championships yet. But you have to think at this point, if they're undefeated now, you look at by the time playoffs come, if they have the same amount of losses, you got to look at it in that way. And there would be no way that Washington goes undefeated and isn't a Power 5 conference champion that's undefeated, so they would easily get in. Mm-hmm. Then I can't see any argument that if they go undefeated and win the Pac-12 that they don't get in.
Yeah, because they would
over a team that didn't win a conference championship
Yeah,
and has a loss.
exactly. Yeah.
Like that's checking the two. They may have a lighter strength of schedule, and I know that is important. But at the same time, if you win your conference, that's more important than who you play because you have to play those teams. You don't have the option to play stronger opponents.
Yeah, I don't care who you play. If you go undefeated, that's impressive.
But somehow I think that Washington, the top 4, how it is now, will not look like that at the end of the season.
It never does.
Yeah, it's
It
going
never-
to look very
never-
different.
Yeah.
It's college football, and we know upsets are going to happen. Something big is going to happen to shake it up.
You gotta look out for Washington State.
Yeah. Hey, rivalry games.
Look out.
Rivalry
The Apple
games
Cup.
matter. Definitely. Shout out the Apple Cup.
Well, moving on to our next topic, let's move on to the NFL for this one. This past Sunday, we saw another tie. Second straight week in a row that we have a tie in the NFL. This time, the Bengals and Redskins getting a 27-27 tie off in London. So, second week in a row, we've got a tie. Do you think it's time to change the current overtime format, or is it just fine as it is? So let's buy or sell the overtime format is just fine as it is.
I'll go first because, frankly, I was very vocal about this in my writing. Sell all of it. Get rid of it.
So,
I'm a college football fan through and through. I don't really like the NFL. I don't like the NFL as much as college football. I'll definitely admit it right now.
I can attest to that.
But NFL's overtime rules are awful. I don't care who you talk to. They changed it a couple years back, making it so like if you get a field goal, then
Right.
the other team gets another chance.
Yeah.
But I just like how college football does it. Everybody they get an equal amount of chances. If you stop them and then you score, then you win because
Exactly.
they had their chance, they had their opportunity. I like that much better than what the current NFL. The current NFL overtime rules are very directed towards making it entertaining, because I'll admit it, it's pretty entertaining,
Right.
but it's not fair.
Well, it's also whoever wins the coin toss has a much
Yeah,
better chance
That's
of winning,
another thing.
winning the overtime.
If you win the coin toss in college, you get to choose to be on
Yeah,
defense.
it's
Yeah,
much
it's
more-
easier.
That's a small advantage, but it's not a difference between winning or losing the
Yeah,
game.
you have to be like strategic in college football. You have to like, should I go with defense first or should I put out my offense out there?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you score. If you choose offense first, you score. You put
Definitely.
pressure on them.
Yeah, and
or
like
if
you
choose
know what you have
defense
to
first,
do.
you know you
yeah,
gotta do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go along with that. I'm gonna sell it. They should just change it to the college football. I don't know what's stopping them from doing it. I don't know. Maybe don't start the 25-yard line. Hey, maybe because we're in the NFL, let's start the 35. Like let's do something
Yeah.
different. But you just cannot keep these same rules. You can't have ties. This is the NFL. You can't have.
This is football.
Exactly. You can't have.
Can't have ties
You
in
can't have
football.
games that don't get completed. It makes me feel I'm not dissing soccer.
This is America. We
But
don't
it
tie.
feels like a soccer game when it ends in a tie, and I don't want that. This is football.
What do you think?
I'm going to be probably the minority and buy it because I am a fan of the tie. Because I think it makes things more interesting when you come down to the end of the season. And if
does.
you have
It
two
does.
teams that play out to a tie, they probably deserve to tie the game. So if the game is back and forth, and you get to the end, the end of overtime, they're like, and they haven't broken apart, they're still tied, then they should stay that way. That's how the game should have ended. So I definitely believe in ties. Because I think it adds intrigue, it's entertainment, as you said.
It does.
The only change I would make is that both teams get the ball. I don't like you touchdown and
The game
don't get a
over.
chance.
I mean,
don't like that.
they showed that they were going towards that with if you get a field goal on your first drive,
Yeah.
it does,
But that-
the
I
other
mean-
team
Yeah.
still
I
gets
feel
a
like that
chance.
doesn't really even matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like if your offense is good enough to go down and score a touchdown, then game's over.
Well, I'm gonna buy it, but I'm kind of on both sides. I'm buying it in the sense that it's good at preventing ties. Since this is never gonna happen probably again, having two ties in the same week.
Right.
Because since 2000, there's only been 5 ties in the entire NFL. So I agree with they should change it to college football, but it's good in terms of there's usually not gonna be a tie. Usually one team is gonna find a way to win the game. But
they play a whole another 15
they play
minutes.
another quarter. Yeah.
Generally, in an NFL game,
You score.
Somebody
somebody
scores.
scores in 15
Yeah.
minutes.
It's just because we're having this conversation in 2016 that there's
After
been
the 6-6,
two ties.
I'm not too sure.
But like next year, this probably won't happen, so we probably won't even have to
The
bring
last
it
tie
up.
was 2 years ago, and that was
Yeah.
that was the Panthers and Bengals, and that was they were like, oh, I didn't know it could tie. Like,
exactly.
people still don't know that you could tie a
Donovan
game.
McNabb didn't know
Yeah.
they could tie.
Like they probably don't now. But like
here's
before.
a quick question: what is more entertaining, a tie game or 6 overtimes?
You could say they're almost on the same scale because a tie game, like the competition level, is so good from both teams that we can't choose a winner.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 6 overtimes. I mean, obviously we all like to see 6 overtimes.
Definitely.
But like,
That's
I don't know. I kind of
insane.
agree with Tom over there. I like ties. It makes things like, oh, there's an extra 1 at the end of your record.
it's
Like
more
that's kind
complicated.
of
Yeah.
kind of weird. It makes the
And it
standings
makes the end of
more.
the season races a
Yeah.
bit more intriguing.
Yeah, it
because now
does.
there's teams that
It's like they're half game up, not
Right.
Yeah, now
full
they
game.
now they have teams that could win out and have the same number of wins but not get in because they lost one.
'Cause they're behind
at half.
Tie.
So true.
Yeah.
So you've got to try even harder at the end of the season if you know someone in your division that could be ahead of you at the end based on a tie. You got to make sure you win, and I mean that adds so much more like interest to me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, sticking with the NFL here, we've talked a little bit about Cam Newton already this season, and we're about to do it again. He just recently met with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to discuss some of the late hits and no calls that he feels that he deserves. He feels he hasn't been getting calls that he should be getting. So, my question to you guys is: buy or sell that he has a legitimate complaint here?
Okay, I'm gonna go first. I'm buying this 100%. If you
are, man.
If you've even watched half of these games, he's taking hits that, like, everyone says, oh, Big Ben takes hits, but yeah, they usually get called. Drew Brees, if you whiff by him, or Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, if they get hit like this, the player's gonna get suspended. And half these calls, or most of these calls, aren't going Cam's way. I don't even think they have. I don't think there's been a roughing the passer called against Cam this year. If I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but it's 1 or 0.
Right.
So it's like we all know the Broncos game. There was a bunch of bad hits there. Even the Cardinals game last week.
Yeah.
What's his name? That one, I forgot his name. He hit him low on the knees, and there was the exact same play of somebody hitting Aaron Rodgers below the knees, just like that last year, and it was automatic call. They didn't even hesitate to throw the flag. So Cam is 100% right in this situation.
Yeah, you have to defend the quarterback at some point because he can't keep getting beat up like this. It just makes the NFL and Roger Goodell look like what they're doing is bad because it seems like they're putting a target on Cam Newton's back that shouldn't be there. They seem like, because of the way he acts, maybe his celebrations are too much, so we're not going to call those calls. But I feel like if you see other quarterbacks getting the same calls, I feel like you have to call them for Cam Newton because he deserves, the same respect as all the other quarterbacks do. So I'm buying into it.
I'm also going to buy. I disagree with the way he's doing it, like meeting with the commissioner and all that. That kind of makes him seem like he's kind of just like crying.
Yeah, he's kind of begging for it.
He's kinda, which, I mean, like Matthew said, if you look at the games, he kind of deserves
Yeah,
it
right.
because these hits are insane. And I would talk to people and they would like try to defend these hits, and
No
it's
way.
just insane. These are straight targeting. These are straight helmet to helmet, just straight. All none of them were just like football plays.
Yeah.
They're going for it. They're hen hunting. And if the NFL is going to be serious about the whole concussion protocol and the safety of
player
players,
safety, yeah.
then they got to start calling these. And it's kind of disturbing that
Right.
he hasn't been called. And there have been excuses like he counts as a runner because he runs more.
Right.
And I've heard an excuse that like he's a big quarterback. He's bigger than most regular
It
quarterbacks.
doesn't matter.
So?
It doesn't matter.
Well, a lot of these hits are happening when he's scrambling in the pocket or trying to
Yeah.
find an open pass or throw the
Right.
ball away. When he's running, even he's still a runner and he should still get similar calls to running backs, which a lot of times he won't. But this is when he's in the pocket, when he's trying to pass the ball and he's getting hit like this. So there's the runner excuse is not an excuse because he's not running.
Definitely not.
Yeah, but I've heard that one, and then I heard that he's too big, which makes no sense to me because if you get hit in the head hard enough, then it's kind of
No matter.
It
no
doesn't
matter
matter how
who
big
you
it
are,
is. gonna
Yeah,
hurt.
it's gonna hurt. You're gonna get a concussion.
But yeah, I'm totally buying this. I just disagree with the way he went about it.
Yeah, I can understand.
So
All right, I'm going to be the guy to sell it.
you're that guy.
Sell it.
I am
Tom.
that guy.
That guy.
Because to the point, I will make the runner excuse. Not to the extent. I'm not going to be one of those people who's saying that he's not taking hard hit. He's definitely, some of the hits he's taking definitely deserve to be called that haven't. It's just the fact that I don't think necessarily it's like they say it's him. I don't think the referees are like, personally going, oh, it's Cam, I'm not going to call this. I think it's just more of a fact when you have a player who plays his style, so he does run more, and when you have to try to call it like a running back, a lot of those when he's running, they're more bang place and they're harder to call. So I think it's kind of unfair to the officials to say that they're all ganging up on him.
Well, they're not necessarily ganging up on him,
but I'm saying like you can't complain that all the officials are biased against you and you're not getting the calls. And I understand protecting the quarterback. I agree with that. There are hits he's taken in the pocket that should have been flagged and haven't. But that like some of the plays that he's made when he moves outside the pocket, they're hard to judge because he's a runner. And you have to take that into account. So I think he's got some genuine gripe, but I don't know that the extent that he's trying to push is necessarily legit.
Well, a lot of times after a lot of these calls, the NFL is like, oh, sorry, we missed a call, but they're not going to do anything about it. And when a player messes up like that, they get fined. Why isn't the NFL? Why don't they have the same accountability in terms of the players? Why isn't there a punishment? And Cam's trying to talk to Goodell. I agree how he went about it. He's trying to talk to Goodell and see, hey, you guys have to be accountable. You can't just say, hey, sorry, we messed up. Next week is next week.
In a way, he's kind of going a good way about it. He's not just like down talking the refs in the press conferences because the NFL.
He's actually doing something.
Yeah, the NFL
he's not being Odell about it.
The NFL has let this go on for too long. They would have started, calling calls in the first week. We wouldn't even have this conversation. But the fact that we've prolonged this all the way to like week 6 or 7 now, now it's basically going to do nothing if you still throw flags because we know what happened before.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's move on to another quarterback situation right here. The Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Alex Smith is going to miss a game or a couple with an injury. So now the Chiefs are going to be turning to Nick Foles as their quarterback while Smith is out. So buy or sell that the Chiefs can have success with Foles. We know they've been doing well thus far, but things can change when you change quarterbacks. So what do you guys think?
I'm going first. Sell. He's Nick Foles.
Right on that.
He did a great job in Philly. I'm going to give him his credit, but his coach was Chip Kelly, and he had a good system there. He had the system that fit him.
The Chiefs don't have a good system?
Well, with Andy Reid, they run the West Coast offense, and you have to pass more, and I feel like Nick Foles needs a reliable running back or those reliable receivers to help him out because he's not that much of a talented quarterback, but when you put him in the right system with Chip Kelly in Philly, it worked out for him. But I don't think him and Andy Reid are really going to mesh together, and I don't think that's a long-term situation. I think we're just looking at a short-term situation, but this is not going to last long. I'm ready for Alex Smith to come back for the Chiefs.
Well, I kind of disagree. I'm buying it. I think, like you said, it's 1 to 2 weeks maximum. It's a concussion. It's not like he tore an ACL. So Alex Smith will be back. But Alex Smith is a very conservative quarterback. He doesn't throw the ball downfield a lot. He does a little short 10-yard, 5-yard slants. He doesn't do it. And Nick Foles is kind of the opposite. He's a gunslinger. I mean, he will throw the ball. And the Chiefs have some speedsters. They have Jeremy Maclin and Tyreek Hill, who's bursting onto the seam. I think Nick Foles will get them the ball more. And like this is a short-term situation. I think Nick Foles will have success.
All right, I'm also going to buy it. Sorry, man. It's okay. Mostly the same reasons as Matthew. All Nick Foles has to do is just not mess up, because that's what Alex Smith does. He just doesn't mess up. He doesn't win games, but he doesn't lose games.
But they
seem
to go to the playoffs every
year.
year.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
In this day and age in the NFL, you just need a quarterback who won't lose you a game.
Right.
And another thing, I think Nick Foles will really love to have Maclin back in his receiving core. So I think he'll do fine. I've always liked Nick Foles. I've always thought he's a pretty decent quarterback. The whole Chip Kelly situation, getting traded for, he got traded, right?
For Sam Bradford.
Yeah, for Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford.
Foles for Bradford.
I wasn't sure if it was for Sam Bradford.
I still love Sam Bradford.
terrible.
Put that out there.
But
I was trying to be nice.
at the time, it made sense for the Rams. But
Not for the Eagles.
no, it made no sense for the Eagles.
The Rams came out way ahead.
I do like Nick Foles. I think he's a pretty competent quarterback. I think he'll probably be a good backup. I don't think this is his rise to starting quarterback again.
No.
I think he'll just stay a backup for the rest of his career.
Going to Charlie Whitehurst his career.
Flipboard Jesus, part 2.
I don't know that he's got the look for it.
You can get it.
He can grow it. I'm going to buy it as well.
Hey.
The same reasons that you said. He's only in there for a couple games. He's got the chemistry with Macklin already, so that's a huge thing. English. One of the big problems with putting in a backup quarterback is, yeah, they work in practice, but they might not have the natural game day chemistry with some of their talent. So he's played with Macklin before. He will have that connection. And Andy Reid is a smart coach. Andy Reid will know what Nick Foles can and can't do, and he'll make sure that they don't try anything too drastic with Foles. Foles will gunsling a little more, which will be good because you can play into the hands of a competent receiver in Macklin, far more than competent. And Nick Foles, he had a great season with the Eagles, and then the season after, he was injured for most of it. So even when he played, he wasn't the same. So that's why he struggled. So I don't think that season reflects on him. So that's the lasting image you have him. That and the Rams. And the Rams, that wasn't a good organization for him to be in.
Still not.
They were dysfunctional. No quarterback was really going to work there.
Yeah.
They were already packing.
Yeah,
for Los Angeles.
They're already moving. So Foles, I think, will get the job done for 2 games and they'll be fine.
If 2 games, yeah.
All right, switching gears now to the NBA. Russell Westbrook, he's been going on a tear recently. He's been going off. So, can he keep it up? Can he? I'm going to go ahead and put out a big prediction here. Russell Westbrook averages a triple-double for the season. Buy or sell?
Put it out there, Wyatt. I don't want to go first again, but I guess
If you want to wait a little bit.
I just write fast. I don't know. I'm going to buy it because I like Russell Westbrook and what the Thunder have done. I know I'm not going to give the Thunder that much credit because they have not played anybody really. They have not been tested in the West yet.
No,
so
not at all.
I'm definitely going to give Russell Westbrook, but he leads his team. I'm going to give him his credit because they don't really have anybody that's going to do as much as he will. So I think that he has to get a triple-double every night in order for them to win. So that's why I think he's going to average 1.
I'm going to buy 2. Big buy right here.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge. My main reason for buying is there's not really anybody. Russell Westbrook kind of has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Has to get a triple-double. They don't really have anybody. You don't have Kevin Durant stealing his touches anymore.
Exactly.
So it's just I wouldn't say it's a one-man show over there, but it kind of is.
It's a one-man show.
Yeah, it feels like a one-man show.
Okay. All right. I'm going to buy it as well. This reminds me of when Shaq and Kobe were together, and Shaq left. We were like, okay, Kobe's pretty good, but we didn't know how good Kobe was.
Nope.
I think this is eerily similar. We know Westbrook's really good, but how good is he? He's about to show us, and if he averages a triple-double.
That's
the only other
amazing.
person who ever did that was Oscar
amazing.
Robertson. So I think he will. I think he will because we all know it's a one-man show. Durant isn't there, and we're going to see how good Westbrook really is without Durant.
I'm going to sell it just for the sheer fact that right now he's averaging a triple-double, but again, he's not really played anybody. He's played the 76ers, who I'm shocked are still a franchise.
Wow!
They got Joe. Trust the process.
Oh my God!
He's played my Lakers, who unfortunately aren't very good.
Hey, Lakers are
They're
the
decent.
championship.
They're
One
decent.
day.
They played all right this
Decent
year.
is nice.
And they played the Jazz, who are also decent, but not really any.
Right.
The Jazz are going to make the playoffs.
They're on the come up. They're
trash.
they're
Bottom-
like the
bottom of the play-
bottom of the
eighth seed
play.
doesn't-
Yeah, that's
doesn't-
still better than decent.
Good at best. Either way,
Good
they
at
haven't played any high quality team. What is he going to do against the Spurs? The Spurs are not going to let him walk all over him.
Nothing.
Or the Warriors, where KD's
Yeah.
probably going to swat him, like he did in practice, I would presume. But anyway,
Now Westbrook's going to have the edge in
But I
that.
don't
Westbrook's
think-
going to come out over
you don't
KD.
it's
Yeah,
so
definitely.
hard to average a triple double for an entire season. I don't see any player doing that. Like Jordan never did that. Magic Johnson never did that.
But
Well,
if-
LeBron has never done that.
But they've had superstars around they've had very good players around him. The best player
Yeah,
he
so
has
what-
is Steven
so
Adams and
what's going to happen
Oladipo.
when they start double and maybe even triple teaming him if he gets
Well,
that
for a
good?
triple-double, you only need 10 points,
Yeah,
10
but
rebounds, 10 assists.
Yeah, but what's going to happen when that's happening every game and he gets worn out because he's trying to do everything for the team?
Wow.
It's going to be It's going to.
Well, he might sit out. He might sit out a few games, but you only need 10.
I mean,
10
as
to
much
be
as I like
back.
to see history in the NBA, I there's too many variables in play for me.
I mean,
for all we know, he'd get injured, and I know that's not really the question.
Well, that's always the determining
but
factor.
that's there's too many variables for me to say that he can do this.
I don't know.
If it were to happen,
If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be
Russell Westbrook.
Probably.
It's going to be Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
But if they double team him, he's going to get 10 assists.
Exactly.
Nobody can prevent him from getting rebounds.
And
if he scores 10 points a night, that's still a triple-double.
Exactly.
That's what I think. I don't know.
Well, let's move on from buy or sell now. Go straight into college football. We saw a lot of. We had 9 undefeated teams entering this past week of college football. Now, we're down to 5. 4 teams lost.
Wait.
We lost West Virginia,
ready.
Baylor,
We're not
Boise
ready.
State, and Nebraska. All of them went from undefeated to 1-loss teams. So my question to you guys is, which of these undefeateds that lost is the most surprising?
I guess I'll start off. I know a lot of people are going to say Boise State against Wyoming, which it was very shocking. I looked at ESPN app and I was like, oh no, Boise State lost. That was very surprising. But
Don't know how.
hell no. But Baylor. I think the surprising loss is Baylor and Texas. I mean, Texas has been in a free fall ever since they beat Notre Dame.
They're inconsistent.
They're inconsistent. Charlie Strong is going to get fired. It just a matter of when. And they beat Baylor. It was at Texas, and home field advantage, obviously, we know is a big deal. But still, I mean, Baylor was what, 6th? They were 6th, 7th.
Mm-hmm.
They were a top.
They were
They're a top 10
But
team.
they were one of those teams that we found out that was fake this week, that were not a real contender.
I guess so, but like, I knew Boise State was going to lose to some team like Wyoming, some team like that. I knew Boise State wasn't really real, so that it was surprising, but it wasn't as surprising as Baylor losing to Texas. That's just me. I know everyone else is probably going to say.
Yeah, honestly, I had to pick Boise State because the situation that it happened, because they were up most of the game, and then Wyoming started to storm back. They were up. Boise State was up 28-20, and then they lose on a safety. Like, when's the last time that
Who does
happened?
that?
Like, it just didn't seem like
it's kind of the Boise kind of thing. but
Exactly,
still.
exactly. Boise doesn't play anybody. You're going to go to a New Year's Six bowl. The college football playoff is lined up for you, not the playoff, but like the New Year's Six, and you end up
They're good bowl games.
The good bowl games, and you end up losing
Big
it.
boy bowl. Big boy bowl.
And you just lose it on a safety.
Not the beef
and it shocked me, and it's so disappointing.
Yeah, it is really weird.
It shocked me, and it's so disappointing to see Boise State do this. I just did not see them losing. I thought they were definitely going to win.
This one was kind of hard for me to decide. It was between Boise, because like you said, the way that they lost, and Baylor, because like I just wasn't expecting that.
No, never.
I knew
Right.
Baylor wasn't going to finish the season undefeated, but I didn't think they would lose to Texas.
Yeah, Texas is not the team I saw them losing to either.
But West Virginia, I saw them losing at some point.
No
Not
defense.
surprising. Nebraska, I definitely saw them losing to Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I think I had Wisconsin beating them actually.
I think we all had.
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
I think that was a clean sweep.
But yeah, I think Baylor is a little bit more surprising because, like you said, Charlie Strong's probably out the door. I mean, these players still want him to be the coach because
Obviously,
players
yeah.
love him. So they're probably playing their hearts out trying to keep his job,
Right.
help him keep his job. But I mean, I think it's already a done deal. I think Charlie Strong's probably not going to stay there.
I think,
Bye-bye.
I don't
Which
think
is
he's
sad because I like Charlie
Yeah,
Strong.
yeah, exactly.
I think,
He's a good coach.
I think he's finally getting the Texas ship around, and they're finally getting better and better every year. But the boosters think
Yeah, it's not good enough for them.
Yeah.
it's not good
for
enough.
them.
But the Boise State Wyoming game, Boise State every year they're good.
Exactly.
They lose some game by a fluke ending.
Like that.
Like a couple years ago, they missed a
Field goal, a 20-yard field goal or
missed like
something
a
like that.
20-yard field goal against Nevada.
Yeah.
And
Back when Kellen Moore was the quarterback.
yeah, that was a
Kellen
great
Moore,
time.
yeah.
Great time. And they lost another game by a missed field goal too.
Exactly.
Like later, just nothing really goes well for Boise
It's
when
weird.
they're
There's
undefeated.
something in that blue turf.
Exactly.
I
Close
mean-
out the season, Boise State. Close it out.
Like if they could close out the season, I could definitely see them beating a Power 5 school in
Right.
a bowl game. But they just can't.
Because they beat Arizona back in the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago. So
They beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the Statue of Liberty.
One of the
And we all
greatest
remember
games.
that.
One of the
We all
Statue
remember
of
that.
Liberty.
I mean, for me, I would have to say it's got to be the Boise State game, because if you look at these last week, you would pick out, you go, okay, well, Boise State would definitely be one to win.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, the way they lost makes it even more like surprising. You're like, okay, wait, I'm sorry, the game just ended on a safety.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I can't even think of a game that's ended in a safety.
Neither did I.
Well, in a game-winning safety.
Scenario.
Game-winning
My bad.
Game-winning safety.
I've seen a game end in a safety, but not a game-winning safety.
And as far as Baylor versus Texas, which would probably be the close second, the Big 12 always seems to beat up on each other. And so it's not that surprising when I see any undefeated Big 12 team go down in a conference game. The Big 12 is fairly, like, they're all fairly, like,
Okay, because they
Okay,
all play Austin P
complement
and
each other.
FS Austin for the first 4 games, and they all get out to 4-0. And they're all ranked in the top 25. And then they lose, and we see who the real team is.
Not sure why you're talking crap about all the teams, but
they're all decent, like,
Decent
teams.
enough,
yeah.
but not like.
Yeah, but
so
none of them are going to
fantastic.
be, like, groundbreakers or anything.
also don't forget they play my
And-
boys, Texas State.
Ooh, shout out to Texas State.
Bobcats.
Texas State.
Bobcat pride.
Anyways, yeah, I see what you're saying. They're mostly offense oriented. They don't really focus on defense. And the thing about offense oriented teams is that sometimes the offense just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if
Sometimes
that
you'll
doesn't
play
work,
a team.
you're in trouble.
Sometimes you just play a team that game plans around your offense
Exactly.
and just completely stops you on every turn.
Yeah, one thing that would have been really interesting to see, like you said about them, if they went undefeated, they would have a New Year's Six. But if
Right.
Western Michigan also went undefeated, which one of those two teams would get a New Year's Six? Because one of them would.
Well,
Well,
it's just
Boise was ranked higher than them, so they
yeah.
probably would.
So
Yeah,
it's
it would be
the
Boise.
highest
It would be
non-Power
Boise.
5 team.
I feel like Western Michigan would probably have. I mean, they have the win against Northwestern. I feel like that's more.
Northwestern isn't very good.
Yeah, but that's still more impressive than anybody Boise State's.
Why
faced.
did Western Michigan play last night? I don't understand.
'Cause-
Why is the Mac coming on?
Maction!
Hashtag Maction.
Yeah,
Hashtag
Tuesday.
back.
That's
I love it. I
don't
love
get
Maction.
it. I don't.
Josh,
get
you're
it.
always an endless source of fun hashtags.
Hashtag Maction.
Pac-12 After Dark, Maction.
Those are real things.
Let's get into some not necessarily maction, but some action that we've got going on this upcoming weekend of college football. We've got a few pick'ems coming our way, so let's get the whiteboards back out. First game up on the table, the good old Alabama LSU rivalry. It's getting renewed again this week. So who you got? Games in Baton Rouge.
As much as it pains me to say this, I'm picking Alabama. You see my little sad face that is really poorly drawn. That's the point. I mean, LSU really hasn't been that good. They've been on the up since they got rid of Les Miles. But, like, I can't look past, like, the beginning of the year. They were just so bad for an LSU team. And you're still on the up. You haven't risen high enough to get past Bama. They haven't like developed into the team that they were supposed to be yet, and even that team, I don't know if they can beat Alabama. I know LSU Alabama is always a good game, usually, like they're rivals of each other, but I can't see Bama losing this game. Bama's coming off the bye week too. They're rested. They're well rested and
been prepared.
always well coached and definitely prepared. I can't look past
It's
it.
hard to pick against them.
Well,
Hard to pick against them.
The thing about LSU earlier in the year, they had Les Miles and they had their really bad offensive coordinator.
Terrible.
Awful. The thing about LSU was players are never an issue for LSU. They always have.
They've got the talent.
They always
They've got
had
the talent.
NFL talent. They're always up there with teams. By the way, I chose LSU. Sorry.
Before we get on.
You forgot the important bit there.
But LSU always has talent. They got rid of their awful offensive coordinator because early in the year it wasn't really their defense. Their defense was still playing well. When they played Wisconsin, they played pretty well, and their offense was just always bad. But ever since they fired Les Miles, they fired the offensive coordinator. Ed Orgeron, the best interim head coach of all time.
Exactly. Give this man a head coaching job. Give him a contract.
No, he's better this way.
I mean, yeah.
You don't want to ruin this.
But you got a new play calling, and LSU's offense has been 1,000 times better since they got a new offensive coordinator and Ed Orgeron. So I mean,
But they still have to go against the stout Bama defense.
I know they still got to play Bama though.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
the thing.
well prepared and well rested.
But they have the momentum. The Louisiana State University is going to win Saturday. and I'll tell you why. Because they're just gonna win. They got the momentum.
They're just gonna win.
I like
Because they're going to win.
They're just gonna win.
They're gonna win because they win.
Jalen Hurts, I'm going to argue that Jalen Hurts, he's never had to go into Death Valley before.
Don't say
Wait,
that.
when is he
Don't
coming
even,
to Clemson?
don't even say
I
that.
didn't realize he was coming.
Don't even say that.
Okay, I made a mistake. Excuse me. I'm off the show now.
That's a disgrace.
But I think that he's never had to go into a place like that.
Just so you know, it's spelled like that.
Yeah.
That's LSU's.
Jalen Hurts has never had to go into a place like that. And I think he's going to be finally rattled. That is where quarterbacks go to die usually. Chad Kelly had a really bad game back there
Swag
a couple
Kelly.
years ago. Swag Kelly. And I just think LSU is going to win. I finally think Alabama's run is going to be finished. I just do not believe in them this year. I keep picking against them, and I'm waiting for it to happen.
Maybe you should start picking for them.
I just don't believe it.
Yeah,
Maybe
really.
you're the problem.
This is the one week I did pick for him, so who knows?
I disagree. I say Bama. I still like, even though yes, LSU is on the rise, but it's still Bama. Bama, they don't have a blemish on their record. Can you give me a blemish on their record right now?
No,
Even
they
though as
can't.
much as I hate them, they don't have a
can't.
blemish on their record. I don't think it's gonna change.
Yeah, what's
They are the most-
You said LSU has momentum. What's who has greater momentum? A team that's lost or a team that's been beaten?
Hey,
You keep winning.
I was about to say Bama has all the momentum in the world.
Alabama had a bye week. They didn't play last
I
Saturday.
feel like
Yeah, they still didn't lose.
That is true.
I feel like if you win a lot like Bama does, you start getting into a false sense of security.
That is true.
Complacent.
Yeah, they start getting complacent.
I would say that if they didn't have Nick Saban as a
Yeah,
coach.
but I'm sure Nick Saban
I mean, it
wouldn't let
still
it.
happens.
Yeah.
Alabama has lost one game for like the past 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
So you
They've
think, you
lost
think
at
this,
least once.
I think they're going to lose at Auburn. I don't think that. I think
Yeah, I
they're
don't
going to
think
lose a
LSU
game, but it's going to be Auburn.
I
Auburn's-
definitely
yeah,
would say
Auburn's a
Auburn
tough
has a
game.
much better chance.
Auburn has surprised me this year.
Oh my God,
Did not expect that.
Not at all.
They're making Clemson look really good.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
That's a good close game.
That might be why we're number 2 right now.
Exactly.
Let's move on to our next game up on the slate. We're going back to the Big Ten now. Nebraska at Ohio State. Who wins and why?
Really interested. We're going to have a clean sweep again.
Something tells me, yeah.
Everyone just doesn't like Nebraska.
So I'll start it off with Ohio State because I mean we all picked against Nebraska last week. It's the same reasons, and Ohio State is a better team than Wisconsin. So how could if Wisconsin's gonna beat Nebraska, why wouldn't Ohio State? It's the same reasons as last week. I don't really need to say that much.
OHIO State. So, like you said, I mean, there's not really much else to say here. Nebraska's first major competition was against Wisconsin.
But they went into overtime. It wasn't. You guys said it was going to be a blowout. I didn't
still
say
That
it.
is true. They did play great.
It was a good game. It wasn't like a 20-point game. It was overtime.
They're going into the
But their
horseshoe.
record had a 1 at the end of it after the game.
That is true.
Yeah,
They're going to Ohio State
yeah.
It's in the horseshoe.
in the horseshoe,
Tough
which
place to
is
play.
always tough.
Definitely.
That's about 100,000 people, I'm pretty sure. Near, at least close.
Definitely.
There are big stadiums in the Big Ten.
And also, Ohio State is kind of, there's zero room for error for them now. They have to win out if they want to make the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure the team knows it. I'm pretty sure
Oh, they definitely-
got a
yeah.
wake-up call at Penn State. So,
I don't know that Urban Meyer
So-
has stopped screaming
Nope. And he won't.
after that game.
so, I mean, you said that that we all said that Wisconsin was going to blow them out.
All right.
This will legitimately get ugly. I
Really?
honestly think. I think
You think it's
will
going to be a
be
blowout?
very ugly.
So you're going to be 0 for 2 in terms of seeing if a game's going to be a blowout or not? Is that
I'm
what you're
very
telling me?
bad at picking blowouts. I don't know if you can tell, but I pick most Clemson games to be blowouts this year.
And they have.
What
Well,
happened?
a lot of people would pick those to be
Hey, well,
to be
we'll
fair.
pick,
Nebraska-
SC State to blow us out.
I'm gonna say
Willie
Nebraska's
did,
program is on the rise. Nebraska
definitely.
is doing great this year. They've actually played pretty well, and they played great against a really good Wisconsin team. But now, I'm picking Ohio State.
Because the Heisman candidate's on there.
Oh, I'm still supporting JT Barrett. I'm never gonna not stop supporting them. But Urban Meyer's just a better coach. They just are a better team. Even though this is a young team, this could be Ohio State's second loss if they don't prepare enough and they're not ready to face Nebraska. And they take Nebraska kind of lightly since they're not, they're not respected enough. But Ohio State, I think they're gonna win the game. This is gonna be very close, though. I hope they're ready.
I think Urban Meyer's too good of a coach to let them be like that, though.
Oh well, they did lose to Penn State though. And
Yeah. Well, it's
that
funny.
wasn't a good game.
It's funny you said it might be their second loss because I think it will be their second loss. I'm picking Nebraska. I don't have a lot of substance in this. I just think.
You just got to feel it.
I just think they're going to win.
College football it's a crazy
college football.
it's a crazy league. I think Nebraska's going to win, even though yes, Ohio State has the home field advantage. Yes, Nebraska just lost, but they played. If it was a blowout against Wisconsin, I think it would be a clean sweep. But they played. It was a very tight overtime game. I'm going with faith here. Nebraska is going to win. Mark my words. Mark my words.
Also, here's a solid hot take. If Nebraska beats Ohio State, I think the Big Ten's out of the playoffs.
Ooh.
Because I think Ohio State can beat Michigan.
Michigan. I think Michigan's too good. I kind of see Michigan.
I don't see what everybody's talking about in Michigan. I don't think they're that good.
They've beaten everybody who they're supposed to beat, and they've beaten them well and soundly, and they play good. So I can't argue that they're not.
But other than Wisconsin, who have they played?
They went on the road against Michigan State, which we know Michigan State is a great team.
Yeah, that can't be an argument now.
It's still a rivalry game.
And they barely beat them too.
It was about.
It was like 10.
It was 10. It was
about
10. But I can't see them. I can't see them losing. I saw Ohio State lose to a Penn State team that they should have beaten. So, and Michigan's undefeated.
Special teams matter.
But a Penn State team that was probably better than we all thought it was when we saw them.
Yeah, that is true.
Actually, here's the real question: do you think Harbaugh is at the World Series game tonight? In Ohio.
Wearing his khakis.
I'm sure
You know what, Josh? I'm glad you brought up the World Series game because that's going to be our next pick'em. I know it's not college football, but whatever.
All right, well,
Let's pick it. I mean,
What an audible.
Game 7 of the World Series.
What an audible.
Cleveland Indians,
Audible.
Chicago Cubs. I mean, these are the two teams with the longest droughts in Major League Baseball, and one of them is going to be breaking their curse tonight. Right now, the Cubs are up 2-1 in the top of the 4th. They got a runner on second base with 2 outs, so they're threatening that another. But anything can happen. It's Game 7. So what you got? Huh? Who wins? Who wins the World Series?
Oh, jeez.
I can't back away from my pick now. It's the Cubbies. The Cubbies are going to win. You said they're up 2-1. That helps my case just a little bit, but not by much. Anything could happen. That streak's going to be broken, even though it's in Cleveland. I don't think they're going to win a championship, NBA championship, and a MLB championship in the same. It's too good for Cleveland. That never happens.
It's too good
Cubs.
for
Cleveland needs something to help them out because they can't go.
What are you talking about?
NBA title is
Poor Cleveland.
LeBron James is in the job.
Poor Cleveland.
Poor Cleveland because they
Cleveland.
don't get excited on Sundays anymore, even though they never did.
I mean, they never.
It depends. Are the Cubs playing on Sundays?
I'm just going with the
occasionally?
Indians because, hey, the Indians are going to win.
All right.
Because hey, the Indians are gonna play.
I feel pretty bad about this actually because I'm pretty sure I changed my pick like 3 times.
Yeah, you said Indians.
At the beginning of the
My pick got
playoffs,
knocked out in 3 games.
at
so
the
I
beginning of
think
the
you're better than I am.
playoffs,
I picked the
at the beginning of the
Dodgers,
playoffs, I chose the Cubs, and then last week I chose the Indians,
Dang, you a bandwagoner, huh?
and this week I'm choosing the Cubs.
Yeah, stay with your pick. Stay with your pick.
But the thing was, last week this Cubs team has really revitalized themselves.
Yeah,
3-1 lead.
Game 6, yeah, Cleveland's about to blow a 3-1 lead.
that's crazy. Which
I mean, who's done that?
who's done that before? We're
Shots
not calling
fired.
Nobody out.
But
Just read the comment section on any social media.
3-1 Chicago now. 3-1 Chicago.
Oh,
But after game 4, I was fully convinced that the Indians would put this away. Like
Right.
I knew the Cubs would probably win Game 5, but I thought once it got back to Cleveland, that it would be over. The Indians would win. They would put in Kluber again, which they did tonight, and he would just obliterate like he usually does. But Game 5, what's wrong with Chapman? Captain? Pitching 3
Captain Chapman.
innings, and then he pitched 1 last night for some reason, even though they were up 7-2.
yeah, that was bad.
The
Bad
Cubs,
decision.
the Cubs
Bad
bats are
decision.
hot. Kluber's a little tired because he's playing his 3rd game out
Yeah.
of 7.
Yeah.
It's like 3rd in 9 or 10
which
days.
is insane.
Which
Crazy.
is insane for a pitcher, especially at the end of a season.
Then you got
Exactly.
Kyle Hendricks, regular season ERA leader. Then you got John Lester out of the bullpen, and then Chapman again.
Chapman again.
Because Chapman,
He's
I'm
back.
pretty sure Chapman would much rather tear his arm off than not pitch.
Exactly.
And don't rule
He's
out the
going to
possibility
pitch
of
Game 7.
Arietta coming out for maybe half an
Arietta
inning.
could also come
Yeah.
out. So I
Because at
got,
this point, you throw anything in. Like,
And then
you
you got-
throw whatever you have.
It's all hands on deck for Game 7.
and then you got Schwarber on DH.
Yeah.
So the bats are going to be hot again. So
Already are, apparently.
go Cubs, go.
Go Cubs.
All right.
Go Cubs, go.
All right, I'm picking the Telecubbies
Telecubbies.
because 1, I couldn't resist the pun. 2, because I was going to pick them going into this game. Cleveland had the chance to shut the door, and I think when you let a team stave off elimination for 2 games
That's
in
tough.
any type
That's
of series.
Momentum is dangerous. Momentum
yeah.
is dangerous.
It is.
Very.
Indians' heads have dropped, and I know they'll still be motivated for this game
Definitely.
because
It's
you know,
game-
you
it's
still
game
got-
7.
It's
It's
still
game
the
7
World-
of the
yeah,
World
it's still the World
Series.
This is what people dream of.
It's what they're playing in their backyards. Game 7 of the
Yeah.
World Series, bottom of the ninth.
But as soon as the game started off with Dexter Fowler, I believe.
Yep.
hit
Dexter
the-
Fowler,
yeah.
only leadoff home run in Game 7 World Series history.
Boom.
Wow.
As soon as I saw that, it drove home the point that they were going to win.
Literally drove home.
Yep. Go home.
It doesn't matter who wins or loses. There will be 2 riots tonight.
Definitely.
Hashtag riot.
Right.
That's very true.
Right.
There will be riots in Cleveland and Chicago no
Yes.
matter what happens.
Cleveland's river will catch on fire.
It'll be pretty bad.
And J.R. Smith won't have a shirt on.
Well, speaking of J.R., I'm glad you mentioned J.R. Smith. Let's move on to the NBA. We just finished our first week of NBA
think we
action,
need
so
boards anymore.
really quickly before we have to send the show off, first impressions, they mean a lot. Which team gave you the
109-93
best first
final.
impression after this first week of NBA action? Lightning round.
The
let's
Charlotte
go.
Hornets just won. I got like Charlotte Hornets. Kemba Walker's killing it, coming in the clutch. They just beat the 76ers on a comeback. I like the Charlotte Hornets this year. 3-1 now.
I love the Charlotte Hornets, obviously. I mean, my shirt
Look at
shows
those
it.
colors.
My shirt shows it, but I'm not gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say the Bulls. Everyone makes jokes of, Dwayne Wade's gonna pass it to Jimmy
Right.
Butler's gonna pass it to Rondo, and they're gonna tire out the shot clock. They're 3-0 though. They've played the Celtics and the Pacers, who are 2. They've beaten both those teams.
Celtics are good.
And those are 2 playoff teams, and then the Nets. But I mean, everyone plays the Nets at one time and another, and they're
They have to play the Nets.
3-0. So I don't think it's gonna keep up. They're gonna be on the fringe of the playoffs once it comes. But it's only the first week. They're one of my most impressive teams so far.
A little bias here. I got the Hawks. I mean,
A Hawks and a Panthers fan.
I know,
weird.
right?
It's weird.
I'm so messed up. I just love the South. Anyways, but I got the Hawks because Dwight Howard's actually been playing pretty well. The second game he got like 2 points, but he had like half the usual playing time he got. So I mean, I don't really put much worth on that. But he's been playing pretty well. He's according to NBA.com, he's averaging like 18 points per game, which I don't know about that, but I actually looked at it.
If it's a stat.
He scored 19 in his last game, and he scored like 16.
2 in one of them.
He scored 2 in one of them. He scored 16 in the first
So you got
one.
something higher to average out.
But
average that out.
I definitely got the Hawks because they're just meshing better than
They are.
I expected.
Dwight Howard's in a good situation.
I thought Dwight Howard would come in and he would just ruin everything,
Right.
just like the Lakers. But
Well, the other difference with that is Dwight wants to play in Atlanta.
Yeah,
he's
He
from
went to the
Atlanta.
Lakers, and then pretty much immediately realized
He didn't want to be there anymore.
He's from Atlanta. It's a
Yeah.
perfect fit for him.
yeah,
but
He wants to
he
be-
belongs in Hotlanta.
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
I'm going to pick the Bulls like Matthew. I had my doubts about the team. I know they
still our
got
doubts.
good teams. They got good players together like Rondo, D Wade. Jimmy Butler is fantastic. But I didn't think they would gel that well. And they've proven me wrong. They've been my most surprising team as well. And I mean, big first impression considering they haven't lost yet.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think they'll win the division over Cleveland or anything like that.
Can they beat Cleveland in a series?
No.
Nobody
Okay.
can beat Cleveland in a series. Is
The
that
Warriors
even a,
can.
The Warriors blew
I'm
it.
talking in
Warriors
the East.
can.
In the East, okay.
Okay, in the East.
The
Okay.
Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Hey, that was last year. They got KD now.
Oh, they got KD
Let's see what
now.
happens.
Yeah, but that's if the Spurs don't.
Because KD,
I'm not saying the Spurs are
because
good.
KD has a good track record against.
Mark my
against
words.
LeBron
The
James.
Spurs are going to make it to the finals, not the Warriors. Spurs are going to make it.
Yeah, right now it
Mark
looks
my
like the
words.
Spurs will.
Yeah.
But watch out for the Clippers. Though. The Clippers are
always that team that's
always
like
the team to
number
watch out
3,
for.
but like they
Yeah.
never really make a push.
And then-
Chris
and then
Paul
they
can
make the
never get
playoffs
past
and
the
they
second
forget how
round.
to play
I
basketball.
feel bad for Chris
Don't
Paul.
they usually like fall apart?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get to the
They do.
playoffs and forget how to
They
play
always get to like
basketball.
the semifinals or the finals and just
Yeah.
blow
I'm
it.
supposed to drop the ball? Bounce it?
Well, last year
Sit on it,
CP3 and Blake
literally.
Griffin were both injured, but
Yeah.
but they can't get past the second round. I feel bad for Chris Paul, but he's
I
got to
do
step
too.
it
I
up.
want him to win a championship because he's a good
Yeah.
player. He's been there for a little bit now. It's
I don't
time
think
to do
he's
something.
never going to win a championship though. I'm sorry.
He
He's
might
never,
not. He might not.
No,
Based on the
it's
situation
just
he's
the
in.
teams that are in the
Yeah,
league right
yeah,
now.
he
That
might not.
he's never in. It's
I
bad.
just, I
but
just
he's
wanted
never.
to point out a really quick, first worst impression. The Pelicans. I mean, they're 0-4 so
That's
far.
what I said.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis averaging like 40 points a game.
Exactly. He's
He
going
can't
off,
do
but
it
he's got
alone.
no
He can't do
support.
it alone.
There's Tyreek Evans is out. Drew Holiday's with his wife, understandably.
Yeah,
They have nobody around them. I mean, it's kind of
I
sad.
wish he was in a better
I
situation
still-
because he's so good and so
The Hornets,
I
the
still
Hornets
thought
should have
they
been
would
able to
be
pick
I
him.
thought they would win a game.
Exactly.
At least at this point.
The Lakers could beat the Pelicans. And that's
I mean,
saying
Lakers
something.
beat the Rockets.
Lakers.
The Rockets, yeah.
Lakers are going to win. Close it out, Wyatt.
What are they gonna win? 10
Win the
games?
number one draft pick.
No, but
no,
no.
76ers.
Yeah, the 76ers get the number one draft pick.
They got Joel Embiid. Trust the process. Trust the process.
Well, Tigers,
knee surgeries?
Well, Tigers, it's been a great show. Sorry I ran a little extra than we normally do, but I told you we were gonna have a good one. So, thanks for tuning in tonight. See you next Wednesday, same time, same place. It's the Extra Point on Tigervision. Your paper toss missed. Let's go.